No one else will tell you. It's announced. And we're going to put a couple of links together. And I want you to look at this trailer real quick of the Clade X simulation, which tie into the Disease X. I'm going to take you to who announced it, just a video I told you 3 days ago. They pulled out the bill for it. And now I'm going to show you this trailer, and then I'm going to lead you up into how they even plan the checkpoints and everything else to be laid out so that you can know in the future what the reality is supposed to be based on the information we're seeing right now. When you know this, it gives you a different outlook and change into reality. Let's play a little bit of this simulation.
Patients from other hospitals.
The creation and intentional release of the Clade X virus.
The impact of not doing something has lots of consequences.
We can't retreat from the rest of the world.
Continuity of government here cannot be overestimated.
Federal quarantine of this scale is unprecedented.
The question everywhere, when will there be a vaccine?
We have got to engage the private sector.
They know that we don't have a vaccine yet. They want vaccines to be prioritized.
I would not want to pull those people back.
And we need on the ground to be able to assure protection of our first responders.
This is a non-starter. I'm going to need these people. I got this feeling in a whole lot of other places.
More than 40 countries are reporting outbreaks, and many more are suspected of having cases.
Leadership requires doing things that are oftentimes unpopular. This issue has the amazing capacity to be number 11 on anybody's list of 10 most important items.
We have been unbelievably weakened by this crisis.
What the world will look like when it's...
Okay, so after you've seen that, what do you think? And then it shouldn't be disputable since they say the intentional release in that simulation, right? So they simulated it would be intentionally released in its next go. Now, I'm going to lead you up into what the WHO has announced, but also what's coming out as far as how things will be enforced in this new age that we're seeing. So let's you listen to what they say. At a checkpoint, which we know what checkpoints is being used for today, we know what the larger plan, the interstate plan, everything else. So they pretty much in the UK let out the plan for you to see that this is what they're going to do. And I'm going to show you a video clip of it. At a checkpoint, the police identified a man with a gun. When confronted, the man began to flee while other officers chased him. Another activated his jet suit and flew over the area, outrunning him and containing the threat immediately. Yep, get him, fly on over with the jetpack. Futuristic checkpoints for the you-know-what reality. This might sound like scene from futuristic movie, but the scene was played out recently during demonstration of jet suits for police squads. And I'm going to show you the video. The man who played the role of a flying officer, actually the founder-in-chief of Test Pilot Gravity. And it's the company which also aims to have the world's first patented jet suit flight training program, as well as has worked with 50 other clients in the US and UK. Also participated in search and rescue operation. See what it's looking like. So this is what they plan for the checkpoints, everybody. Literally. Like they're going to be flying out and got the jetpack. As you can see, you see the symbols he got on his clothes right there. And here they are deploying upon the dude. He's a testing founder of Gravity, and we fly and build these 1,000 horsepower jets, he says. So they was to demonstrate the scenario of a vehicle checkpoint and how we can provide really interesting capabilities when officers identified a weapon in the vehicle and they switched into a more aggressive mode to actually contain the threat. So who is the threat here? Oh, the guy, I guess, who had the gun in his vehicle. Obviously, UK don't have any gun laws, but here's the thing. They're basically showing the predictive reality for the future checkpoint scenario. And it was just pretty interesting that nobody is talking about this right now. And so basically the same company, and even DARPA just came out and said, I'll show you the report. DARPA said, yeah, we're going to have special forces use jetpacks and to go into urban environments. And see, it says in an urban environment. So they're basically saying they're going to scientifically militarize the police in DARPA Special Forces, remember Special Forces was already all around America. I remember in Mississippi in one area where they were just making all this noise and had people scared over there because they were doing drills in an abandoned school across from the projects. They pretty much are the ones that Special Forces, and obviously they domestically trained. So that's the urban troops that they would have to do that. So just moving on from that, and then getting into the deeper aspect. And I showed you the Clade X video. I'm going to get that information detailed even further here in this video, but you got to stay along with me to understand the reality that they're about to literally just smack you in the face with like a slim jim. Have to see a human jet suit in action, demonstrating the emerging science and technology that could help fight crime and terrorism. And you already know what they're calling terrorism today. So I want to move into the deeper aspect. Now, I've pretty much unveiled some stuff that is highly important. So when you see this video, obviously people look at the videos like, oh yeah, he's exposed it. It's just whatever. Go back to the normal reality. But I'm telling you this because this really is going to tie into some big stuff. And once we expose this, we can get a lot of information out and people can understand the common scenario and we can make change. Meanwhile, so this is the Clade X exercise. Meanwhile, back at the exercise, the scenario opens up with present day. I'm going to put me over here. Outbreak of a new series of respiratory diseases in Germany and Venezuela soon after Clade X is identified as a novel strain of human parainfluenza virus with genetic elements of Nipah virus. In weeks that follow, a fringe group bent on reducing the human population claims responsibility for creation and intentional release of disease. Authorities confirmed that those claims and verified that the novel strain was indeed engineered by groups of scientists. Okay, so we go into the next piece of this information. Listen to what they said. Nipah virus, okay? Nipah virus. Now, you gotta see what they're pretty much pulling out now next after I get you into that, right? So, guess what they're pulling out next? Fauci wants to make vaccines for the next pandemic before it hits. It funded a government program costing several billions of dollars could develop prototype to protect against 20 families of viruses. They came out with that July 2021, and guess what they say? In one sense, the world's got lucky with the new CV by sheer chance. Scientists just happen to have spent years studying the CV viruses. Oh yeah, they just years studied it, and everything is just they got us. They got us. How do you know what's coming before it coming? How do you create something before it's here? That's what I'm asking. Developing exactly the tools needed to make the in virus genetic sequence. But what will happen if the next pandemic comes from a virus, Lassa fever, or from Sudan strain, Ebola, or Nipah virus, which they literally just said in the Clade X simulation. Now let's go into what the WHO just announced recently. They got a deadline on there. So WHO, it says, call for experts to join scientific advisory group for origins of novel pathogens. This was literally just released today, issued August 20, and the deadline is the 10th. The WHO today issued an open call for experts to serve as members of the new WHO advisory group for origins of novel pathogens. SAGO will advise WHO on technical and scientific consideration regarding the origins of emerging and re-emerging pathogens, epidemic, pandemic potential, and will be composed of a wide range of experts acting in their personal capacity. There have been an increasing number of high threat pathogens emerging, re-emerging in recent years. And they name what? The Lassa, and then the Nipah, obviously the Ebola, and then the avian influenza. And it goes in to say there is a clear need for robust surveillance and early action for rapid detection and mitigation efforts, as well as systematic process to study the emergence of these pathogens and routes of transmission. And goes in to say this is critical helping WHO member states and partner institutions to prepare for future spillover threats and to minimize the risk of a disease outbreak. And guess what else it says? From SARS-CoV-2, which continues to wreak havoc around the world, the next disease X. This global framework to study the emergence of a new and known high threat pathogens need to be comprehensive and coordinated based on one health approach. So they say the next one is disease X. That's what they say, not me. This is on the WHO's website, and I just tied in the Nipah virus and everything else that they're literally putting along in with the plan. So how is it important that we can already tell you this way before it happened? So I just wanted to get this out because I could see all the pieces and puzzles and tie this together and try to get it to people like you who would get it out to the population so they could know the current agenda before it's here. How important is this to know? That's a question you have to ask yourself, and that's a question that every last one of us know that we could expose based on the information given to us. I'll have all links to this information below, but it's up to you to get it out and then let people see what is not being talked about. We use in our future world has to be based on an independent based society, and that society would create a new way of living. You see, because the only reason why people are so afraid because they buy into most of the fear and hysteria pushed out by the Mockingbird agenda. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in for this live report, and I appreciate you. Please, if you're live right now, give it a thumbs up, share it out, get it to everybody you know, and donate support if you can. I've dropped a video on Patreon if you didn't check that out, and I appreciate all your support. Stick around. We'll have a lot more coming on this note to expose more of the coming agenda.